This movie is not about the Rolling Stones, as I so painfully found out when I started watching this one. Nate Jackson, Criterion Collection, Reviewer Guy, number 99, Gimme Shelter, directed by David and Albert Maysles, and Charlotte Zorin. 1970, 91 minutes, and a whole lot of depression. So I'd been looking forward to this one because, it's the Rolling Stones, a concert. I thought, oh my god, this will be awesome. Not realizing what I was getting myself into. First of all, it's a documentary. A lot of it is just, like the beginning of the film is more or less just Mick and Charlie watching and listening to film. I guess that was shot on concert. Like the first half hour or so focuses on the performance they did at Madison Square Garden, which was captured on the Get Your Ya-Ya's Out concert album. And there's backstage footage of them listening to their album. I think they were working on Sticky Fingers, or they must have been working on Sticky Fingers, I think, at the time, or they had already finished Let It Bleed. This must have been around the time of because they had already finished Let It Bleed, I think, by the time of the concerts that we see. The first being, of course, the Madison Square Garden one, and the second being December 6th, 1969, the free concert at Altamont, which I didn't realize, what was going on in that movie until I started listening closely to the interviews that they were playing, the radio interviews, and the name kept, it's not mentioned too often. Altamont is not mentioned too often until about halfway through, after a press conference they show, the Rolling Stones did. They start mentioning it on the radio, I think, and then you start seeing people going to the concert, setting up, and I didn't know I didn't know the whole story of Altamont, but I knew that it was one of the worst concert experiences of all time, the most horrifying and violent and just disturbing experiences, especially one of the worst Rolling Stones experiences. Partly because of all the fans, but also partly because of the violent nature of the Hells Angels. And I'd heard about it a long time ago, and one of the worst events in rock history, or most controversial events in rock history, on a VH1 countdown thing. And so when I heard it said number 4 or 3 Altamont, and I was like, okay, what is that? I read a little bit about it in the Hells Angels, and I knew the Hells Angels were a biker gang, and it's ooh, yeah, it's kind of scary, Little did I know that I'd be pretty much the last the last 45 minutes of the film were dedicated to the Altamont performance and scenes, and just shooting people freaking out on drugs and all that, not knowing what they were about to witness, I mean, and to be fair, obviously a lot of the people all the way in the back might not have been, too affected. It was mostly the people in the front, where the Hells Angels were, that were being affected. Because they were the ones who were trying to push and shove, and Hells Angels only knew, more or less just how to violently keep them down. So, it is kind of sad that the way it turned out. Marty Balin from Jefferson Airplane apparently got attacked. Grateful Dead, kind of just said, nope, fuck this. When they found out about the Hells Angels, they're like, fuck this, we out of here. And I think that's pretty sick. They have a little footage of it. But the real shit doesn't start until the Rolling Stones come on. They have to stop Sympathy for the Devil halfway through, or they barely get to the first verse, and and halfway through the second verse, and Mick just tells Keith to stop, and everybody just stops, and he tries to plead with everybody to stop pushing and shoving and fighting each other. And it really doesn't come to the head until Meredith Hunter is murdered. For those of you who don't know, Meredith Hunter was apparently an 18-year-old black man who, I don't know the whole story, but from what you can see in the movie, around the time they're playing Under My Thumb, and right around the end of the song, the camera pans over to a black man in like a green suit, like wildly thrashing with his girlfriend, like kind of backing him up. And I think at one point you see like a silver like outline against his body, and apparently it's a gun. He had a gun. And a Hell's Angel came back, and as he turned his back, the Hell's Angel stabs him, from the way you can see the knife, clearly see the knife, even as fast as he stabs him. You can see like the pan of the knife, and it looks like from the pan, it looks like he gets stabbed in the head, but apparently he just got stabbed in the back, apparently 18 times, according to like what I looked up. And he died. He was murdered. And it kind of was like, that was like the climax. I mean, it's not like the climax of this movie. Shortly after you see the death, it cuts back to Mick watching the film. And he says, rewind back and watch that. And they play the scene in slower motion, like they pause, and he just kind of just comments and just says, it's a tragedy. And I guess they kept going because they felt that the riots would be even worse if they stopped playing. And so they eventually show, the Meredith Hunter in the ambulance, thrown in the ambulance, his girlfriend crying, and the Stones play more. I forget what they do next, but the documentary more or less ends with Mick just getting up and saying, "All right, enough." And then just in the last scene is everybody walking away from Altamont to the tune of "Gimme Shelter," the live performance of "Gimme Shelter." Yeah, like when it got to that point, I really thought, oh my god, this is worse. I mean, I was putting down La Ventura I would much rather watch La Ventura with all its boringness, rather than see the violence and hatred that was spewing out through at that performance, that event, because it was an event. It wasn't a performance. It was an event. It was just scary, and it's just really sad and depressing. And originally I was gonna give it just like a D or a C minus, but honestly, the more I think about it, the fact that there is footage of this really dark moment in music history, the Rolling Stones history, let alone the Rolling Stones history, that there's some kind of footage, some kind of like memento of this time that we can look at and think, how sad, we can go back to that moment if we need to. I'm glad that this movie exists. And for that, I'm gonna give it a B. I think, and I'm only gonna give it a B because it's a little misleading. I was misled. I should have done my research a little more to know that it was gonna be about not only the Madison Square Garden performance, but also the Altamont, mostly Altamont. I feel like they could have done a whole movie on Altamont. Or like I think like it shouldn't have been divvied up with so many different things, like a bunch of like little safe moments up until Altamont, like toward the last half of the movie. I feel like there should have been a separate movie for everything that occurred, like and just called it Altamont, And the Rolling Stones, I think they're I just think like it shouldn't have been focused on them, Because what's funny is even halfway during the Madison Square Garden, you see Ike and Tina do a song. So it's not even totally about the Rolling Stones. I mean, then, like I said, during the Altamont, you see Jefferson Airplane perform, the Flying Burrito Brothers perform, so it's a little misleading, a little bit misleading. But yeah, like I said, I think like if they should have separated, the stuff they did for Gimme Shelter and just had that as one movie. Like the first half should have been one movie, or double the length to evenly distribute, or like double the length of the movie to fit it into 90 minutes, to fit everything, fit all that into 90 minutes is just, I think, is doing Altamont, the story of Altamont and Injustice, as well as, just those who came to see the Stones perform, like, really knock it out of the park with the Madison Square Garden performances, Sure, there are a lot of people who are really getting into that, only to be disappointed by seeing, all the violence and hatred in Altamont, as me, But, of course, that's what I signed up for. This is what I signed up for. This is what I signed up for. And if that's what they want to, if they want to put this into their collection, then by all means. So, yeah. B. The males just kind of wish they'd have, given a little more, or separated the two ideas. So yeah, so now the worst is over. Supplements. Oh, there's plenty of supplements. There's performances. There's live performances from the Madison Square Garden. Backstage footage. Footage of them listening to, I guess, a studio recording of Lil Queenie. Backstage with Ike and Tina. There's an hour and a half of excerpts from the KSAN Radio Altamont wrap-up, where like a bunch of people called in and tried to explain about Altamont 2. The Hells Angels called in, a couple other people. It's just like, and then as well as I guess the complete tapes of the Rainbow Room press conference that we see in the movie. There's also the trailers, and funny enough, trailers for two other males films, Salesmen and Grey Gardens, which are, I think, number 123 and 124 respectively. So they're in the Criterion collection. So, and Salesmen, I don't know. I mean, I won't see those till like, I couldn't tell you, till like November or December, probably when I'll get to November, December, when I'll get to those two. But yeah, no, we'll just have to see what happens, with those. I mean, Salesman, it's like Bible Salesman in Grey Gardens, about some like actress living in Hollywood or something. Yeah, so, and I think I know Beale of Grey Gardens is in the Criterion collection as well. There's also still galleries, and yeah, the Restoration Demonstration. So yeah, sad what happens back in the. I'm glad that we're more or less, kind of over, just, I mean, there's a lot of things that went wrong at Altamont, but in the end, I'm glad that, it just kind of signaled the end of an era, definitely the end of the 60s. I mean, not just because of the fact that it was at December 6th, 1969, just kind of like, after that, it's like, that kind of defines what we were getting into in the 70s. So, yeah. And I'm glad that the Rolling Stones were alive to tell the tale, are still alive today to tell the tale. And there, so B. Well, one more, man. We are, I can't believe it. It's finally come to this. Yeah, no, so I don't know. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to do this. Probably tomorrow. I'm probably going to get to this one tomorrow. Yeah, it is a 2-disc. One of them is all the videos, and the other one must be all the remixes and stuff like that, and bonus features. So yeah, we're going to get to this one later tonight. It's going to be just a night of Beastie Boys. We're going to have just ourselves a Beastie Boys party. It's the season finale, ladies and gentlemen. And I just want to say, of course, thank you for putting up with me for 99 movies. I know that my opinion, hasn't been the most agreeable with some of these, but it's just, That's the idea. We're all allowed to have opinions, and here's mine. At the same time, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot about movies and what makes a movie by watching these movies. And yeah, now this is, of course, this technically isn't a movie, but yeah, Sabotage is kind of a movie, a mini movie. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, thanks for watching. And we will see you tomorrow for number 100, Beastie Boys Video Anthology. Until then, goodbye.